Millions of people visit the Grand Canyon each year because of its spectacular natural wonder. It's no surprise that the Grand Canyon is one of the most well-liked tourist sites in the world, given its breathtaking scenery and difficult terrain. However, a melancholy truth coexists with its splendor. Around 900 people have died in the Grand Canyon. The leading cause of death is airplane and helicopter crashes, followed by falling from cliffs, environmental deaths such as overheating, and drowning. On average, about 11 people die per year in the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon Scout hiking disaster of 1996, also known as the Summer of the Scorpions, was a tragic event that took place in Grand Canyon National Park, Arizona, USA. It involved a group of Boy Scouts and their leaders from Troop 4, which was based in St. George, Utah. The group embarked on a hiking expedition through the Grand Canyon in the summer of 1996, but their journey ended in tragedy, with multiple fatalities and injuries. The group needed to prepare for the challenging conditions they encountered. They needed more hiking experience, more supplies of water, and proper clothing and equipment for the extreme heat. As the hike progressed, several group members began suffering from dehydration and heat exhaustion due to the high temperatures and strenuous hiking conditions. They quickly consumed their water supply and could not find sufficient water sources. When Robin Phillips of Bountiful, Utah planned a 6-day hiking trip into the Grand Canyon for his troop of Boy Scouts, he knew the remote route would be waterless, but maps and guidebooks couldn't tell him it would prove deadly. 3 days into the trip, which as it turned out, Phillips could not attend, the group of 5 scouts and 3 adults ran out of water. That afternoon, Phillips' 15-year-old son, David, died from heat exhaustion and dehydration. David Phillips passed out less than a quarter mile from the Colorado River. One child, Mark Coons, lingered behind as his 14-year-old pal Jordan Weingar hurried off to fill a 2-liter soda bottle. Weingar quickly came back with a bottle full of murky river water. He supported Phillips' body and made an attempt to syringe his pal with some fluids. To cool Phillips' body, the boys applied the remaining liquid. Then Coons took his turn to fill the bottle. Mark ran down to the river and saw a raft, said Kim Coons while recalling the details of a phone conversation with her son the day after Phillips' death on Wednesday. He yelled and screamed and got their attention. One of the rafters was an emergency medical technician and rushed to help Phillips. The Woods Cross High School student died that evening. An investigation is pending, but preliminary reports suggest Phillips died from heat exhaustion. Now, park and local scout officials are trying to determine how a Bountiful Varsity Scout Troop's Grand Canyon excursion ended tragically. The North Canyon LDS 3rd Ward group began their hike on Monday along the canyon's north rim. Phillips and his hiking party of 4 boys and 3 adult leaders began following a remote stock trail snaking down into Nankoweap, a rough wilderness area recommended only for experienced Grand Canyon hikers with excellent survival skills. Park spokeswoman Maureen Oltroger said the path was challenging and temperatures soared near 112 degrees. By Wednesday afternoon, the group's water bottles were dry and fatigue had set in. One of the leaders, Guy Davis, believed to be in his 40s, couldn't continue, said North Canyon's 3rd Ward Bishop, Robert H. Campbell. Davis took refuge under the shade of a rock and covered himself in an emergency blanket in hopes of escaping the sun's rays while the others continued toward the Colorado River, said Campbell. Lauren Pace, another leader and experienced Grand Canyon hiker, reportedly dropped out a short time later. According to Campbell, 5 boys and the remaining leader, Earl Pace, who was Lauren Pace's brother, decided to keep moving toward water. Soon, the boys were alone because Earl Pace also had to stop. Later, 2 of the scouts reportedly opted to wait on the trail while David Phillips, Mark Coons, and Jordan Weingar hiked to the river. Kim Coons said Phillips was about 100 yards away from the river when he collapsed and later died. Park officials called Phillips' death heartbreaking, but add that things could have been worse. The EMT from the raft cared for several survivors along the trail, and the river guide was able to contact a commercial plane flying overhead that helped notify park search and rescue crews, said a spokeswoman. A helicopter arrived at first light Thursday to evacuate the survivors. Rescue crews found the leaders one by one that afternoon, said Gail Weingar, Jordan's mother. Earl and Lauren Pace were both reportedly found unconscious, but were later revived. The survivors were evacuated by a helicopter the following day. Less than a week later, rescuers evacuated another group of parched scouts from the canyon, reports the Salt Lake Tribune. The survivors were flown to a medical center at the south end of the canyon. Campbell said that they were in good condition Friday and expected to return to Bountiful over the weekend. The expedition was reportedly approved by both scouts and church leaders from the Bountiful, Utah North Canyon stake. According to council spokesman Mary Latimer, the group also submitted an outing request with the Great Salt Lake Council of the Boy Scouts of the U.S. on June 1st. Council leaders review each request to ensure leaders are adequately prepared and review adult-to-scout ratios. This group was approved for their Grand Canyon trip, said Latimer. Along with Jordan Weingar and Mark Coons, the teenage survivors were identified as Andy Davis and Joel Keeper. Boy Scouts are just some of the visitors who run into trouble in the park. Each year, rescue crews handle about 400 search and rescue incidents involving groups of unprepared or unlucky hikers in the Grand Canyon. During the peak season from June to August, 2 to 3 helicopter evacuations take place every day. We have signs on the trails that say do not go beyond this point without food and water, says park spokeswoman Maureen Oltroger. People walk right past them. Visitors can experience heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and hyponatremia, or water intoxication, says Ken Phillips, the park's search and rescue coordinator. All three are easily prevented by drinking ample water. The Park Service recommends that each person carry 1 to 2 gallons per day in the Grand Canyon and replace electrolytes by eating salty snacks or drinking sports drinks. Phillips also says it's important to obtain an accurate backcountry permit, wear rugged shoes or boots, carry a first aid kit, and pack what he calls backcountry life insurance, a single mirror. Approximately 900 individuals have perished in the Grand Canyon since the 1800s, with 128 of those fatalities occurring in one incident involving an aeroplane or helicopter. With roughly 200 to 250 fatalities per cause, falling alternates with heat-related or hydration-related reasons as the second leading cause of mortality. The Grand Canyon scout hiking disaster of 1996 serves as a heavy reminder of the dangers of underestimating the challenges posed by the harsh environment of the Grand Canyon. It led to increased awareness of the need for proper preparation, training, and safety measures for those venturing into the canyon's remote areas. Planning on exploring the canyon rim? After that, be sure to stay on the asphalt pathways. Grand Canyon rangers will remind visitors that this isn't Disneyland if they spot you stretching out over the brink to take the perfect picture. Although at first it may seem like a joke, the words of wisdom are spot on. When people veered off paved paths to gain a better vantage point, many tragedies happened. The person in the video below was lucky that she could recover her footing. One of the largest dangers of walking out on the rim is that though the ground may look stable, it can be undercut underneath. The fact that the earth may appear firm from the outside but could actually be undercut is one of the biggest risks of venturing out on the rim. This implies that because of erosion, which has cut out the canyon wall beneath you, the ground beneath your feet is essentially paper thin. The Grand Canyon is always changing, and the southwest rock can collapse at any time, so a ledge that seems stable might suddenly fall out. If it happens, the building force may quickly carry a person hundreds or even thousands of feet into the canyon. Believe us, the chances of surviving are slim if you begin to fall. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked today's video, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you again soon in another video.